Hello, and thank you for taking the time to pay attention to this announcement. I'd just like to take a moment to explain to you what's happening with our church as we move into stage 2 in Alberta. If we look at the guidelines here, they tell us that places of worship can be 1/3 fire code capacity. Now, for our church, we have a capacity of 300, so that makes 100 as our fire code capacity. But there's something else here down at the bottom of the list. It says distancing and mask requirements remain in effect. And so with the requirement to still be at least 6 feet apart from family groups, we really can only fit about 70 people in our auditorium, in our church. And so I've upped the registration in the second service to 70 people. Now, we understand that there's a lot of different opinions, and there's more important than what we think probably is our emotional response. There's a lot of different emotional responses within our, even the small group of people that is our church. And so here's what we've planned to do. The idea right now is that we will keep the 2-service format, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And the 9 a.m. service will be still limited to 40 and registering on our website. And at that service, there will be worship through YouTube Music. And so it'll be specifically kind of designed for those people who maybe are not as comfortable with large groups yet. And there will be children's church at this point in both services still. And then the second service at 11 a.m., we've upped the registration to 70 people. And that means that we just have room for I think anybody who wants to come. I mean, with 70 and 40 in the 2 services, we should be able to accommodate everyone who has a desire to be with us on Sunday mornings. And so that's how we're going to do. Distancing and masking is still in effect in the guidelines, but our attendance at the second service will go up to 70 people. So let me just go through that for you on the screen here. If you type in your web browser efcwainwright.com, you'll come to this page here. And if you click on register to attend service, it'll take you here. Just let me move this over for you. There you go. And you can see all the services here highlighted, and there's room for you to register here. One thing to remember when you register is you'll get an email telling you that you've registered. Please keep that email, and that email will allow you to click on a link in the email if you want to change your registration. So that could be important for you if you registered for one service and then for some reason decided to go to the other service. And we'll be continuing to live stream throughout this period, and we just intend to continue live streaming all the way through. I have a few questions that I'd like to put to you, and maybe you can give me some feedback. One of the questions is, have we got the right balance here? I mean, early on, the late service would fill up first, and then the early service would start to fill up in the registrations. But now lately I've noticed that it's more the other way around. The early service is filling up and the late service is maybe a little bit less attended. And so by maybe there would be a reason. Maybe you're telling us that you like church to open earlier, start earlier. Maybe when we go back to one service in a little bit, maybe that's something to think about. So give me feedback on that if you can. I don't expect, honestly, my personal opinion is that the stage 3 won't start for 3 to 4 weeks. The least possible would be 2 weeks, but I think it'll be a little bit more than that, but we'll see. And at that point, we'll have other decisions to make. But there's one more really important thing I want to point out to you. And if we go back to the government site here, you can see that it says outdoor gatherings up to 20 people with distancing. This is maybe even more important than what I'm talking about with the whole Sunday morning church service. You don't need me to tell you what to do. You don't need a church board to tell you what you can and can't do in that context. God has already told you what to do with that. It's not complicated. It's not hard to understand. So let me just read that to you. In Hebrews chapter 10, it says, "Do not neglect meeting together, as some people do, but encourage one another, especially in difficult times." And so, just do it. Don't neglect meeting together. I don't think he's talking here in Hebrews about a Sunday morning church service. He's talking about 20 people in your backyard. Don't neglect it. Do it. And in Matthew chapter 18, verse 20, Jesus says, "For where a large group of people meet in a church building, there am I among them." Yeah, of course, you know that's not what Jesus said. I mean, it means that as well, but what he actually said is, "Where 2 or 3 gather together as my followers, there I am among them." Well, that's God telling you what to do. And so what would you do in these contexts? Well, God tells you that too. Listen, in Colossians chapter 3, "And let the peace that comes from Christ dwell in your hearts. For as members of one body, you are called to live in peace, and always be thankful. Let the message about Christ in all its riches fill your lives." So the message of Christ, God is telling you, should fill your everyday life. How do you do that? How do you make that happen? Here it says, "Teach and counsel each other with all the wisdom he gives. Sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs to God with thankful hearts. And whatever you do or say, do it as a representative of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks through him to God the Father." Well, that's what you fill that time when 2 or 3 gather in his name. That's what you fill that time with. And in that way, you build a church. We'll see you on Sunday.